testing him and preparing him for the likes of Alexander Usyk. I mean, Moses is special. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But at the same time, he may go in there and get absolutely schooled by Alexander Usyk, or he might knock him out.
Past the level of like British level. So obviously, I'm going on to the European world level, but the European world level fighters are holding too much value to fight a young guy like me, because obviously it could be a career-ending loss. And then obviously the guys who's got the belts, Fabio Wardley and Usyk, I mean, they've earned the right to.
Because we don't know what Alexander Usyk's going to do with those, and they will become vacant, some of these titles. It could be a world title, possibly even next. Me and Simon were talking about Frank Sanchez, obviously being a possible opponent as well. Would you put him in for a world title if that opportunity come up next?
Well, I think the WBO are going to order him to fight, to be their mandatory.
I think he's just been mandatory, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think they will order a mandatory soon, because I think that's due. Then you've got as you say, you've got the WBA. There are many options, and that's for Alexander.
Eddie Hearn reacts to Moses Itauma's claim that he can knock out Alexander Usyk in the first round with a sharp, aggressive, and slightly mocking tone, strongly pushing back against the hype. He openly questions the credibility of such a statement at elite level, implying it's easy to make bold claims outside the ring, but a completely different reality when stepping in with a proven, undisputed world champion like Usyk.
You know what? I always leave it over to the fighter and the trainer predominantly, right? The trainer's job is to really tell me if they truly believe he's ready. I mean, Ben Davison is, you know, I was joking with him at the weekend about being a little bit protective of his fighters. He's not, he gets it right, but he knows Usyk.
Eddie Hearn continues his cautious assessment, stressing that Moses Itauma is not yet ready for a fight of Usyk's level. He points out that his team may believe in his talent, but experience matters, especially since Itauma has never gone beyond 4 rounds. Against a relentless fighter like Usyk, stamina and deep round endurance could become a serious problem.
I don't think, knowing Ben Davison, he would want, ideally, Moses to go in with Usyk now. Can he beat him? I'm sure they believe he can, but you want to go in there when you're ready. And like you said, he's never been past 4 rounds. So what happens against Usyk, who tires everybody out once you get 7, 8, 9 rounds deep? You know,
Moses Itauma responds with confidence, dismissing the outside noise around a potential Usyk fight. He suggests that people misread Usyk's comments, implying he would never openly admit to avoiding risk against a rising 21-year-old. Itauma frames the situation as political talk in boxing, insisting fans are not fully believing the reality behind these statements.
But I feel like in this boxing game, there's always going to be people saying something, and obviously Usyk had to say something to you guys, and he's not exactly going to come on a camera and say, nah, I don't want to potentially put my career at risk because of a 21-year-old that's coming through the ranks. So obviously he has to say something, but I don't think that people believed it, and if they did, then I guess that's their.
Ben Davison gives a balanced take, admitting the timing for a Usyk fight may not be ideal for Moses Itauma right now. However, he still rates him highly, suggesting that among all current contenders, Itauma has the strongest chance to actually beat Usyk due to his unique blend of size, speed, and skill.
Sides to that coin now, I think part of what he's saying is he probably wouldn't be ideal. Probably wouldn't be ideal to, it's not perfect timing, but at the same time, I do think Moses is the person with the most amount of chance to.
The Wade Playmanese breaks down Moses Itauma's unique fighting style, highlighting how his combination of raw power and explosive speed makes him stand out in the heavyweight division. Unlike more traditional boxers, Itauma brings devastation and electricity in every shot, especially his left hand and sweeping right hook. He labels him a hybrid, comparing his athletic movement to lighter weight fighters, but with heavyweight strength, something rarely seen at this level.
A little bit of that to him too. Not better Biev as much, but Bivol fights a little bit that way, but this is with power and speed. Bivol has a bit more volume and grace to his, but Itauma has devastation and electricity behind his left hand, and then that right hook sweeps across and hits you right on top of the head. To see that in a heavyweight is so special. And this is why I call Moses Itauma a
Alexander Usyk shows respect toward Moses Itauma, making it clear he has no interest in fighting a young prospect right now. He emphasizes that Itauma is still developing and expresses a protective mindset, not wanting to damage his career too early. Usyk's words reflect both experience and caution, acknowledging the talent but also the gap in maturity and readiness. It's a rare moment of respect from a champion who usually fears no one.
It's okay, fun fight, no problem. But I want a next fight with who winner, Daniel Dubois and maybe Wardley.
You've been dominant.
Spencer Oliver adds another layer to the debate, suggesting that a fight with Moses Itauma could further elevate Alexander Usyk's legacy. He argues that Usyk, driven by greatness, would see Itauma as the next big challenge in boxing. Beating the young next king would not just be another win, but a defining moment in his career. This perspective frames the fight as legacy-driven, where reputation and history are on the line.
Itauma, and the reason I think that he'll do that, Alexander Usyk, is because Usyk is that guy he'll want to go down as not just one of the greatest to ever do it, but the greatest to ever do it. And I think that by beating the young kid that everybody's talking about as being the next king of this new generation, by doing that, if he beats Moses Itauma, his record is unprecedented, isn't it?
Frank Warren expresses strong confidence in making a potential Moses Itauma versus Alexander Usyk fight, while still showing his usual caution with matchmaking. He believes styles make fights, and highlights Itauma's youth and speed as key advantages. At the same time, he openly praises Usyk as a great champion, but still calls Itauma something extra special. His comments reflect both promotional confidence and genuine belief in Itauma's rare potential. Yeah.
I'm sort of very careful with what I do with fighters, as you know. But yes, I would make that fight now. Styles make fights. He's got youth, he's got speed, and he's a great fighter. I think this young man is something extra special.
Moses Itauma himself acknowledges the reality of boxing politics, suggesting that top-level fighters often avoid risky young prospects due to the danger of a career-changing loss. He admits champions like Usyk and Fabio Wardley have earned the right to choose their fights. At the same time, there's a calm confidence in his tone, accepting the situation while still positioning himself as a future threat who will eventually be impossible to ignore.
Fabio's pretty much said the other day, and I found it strange that Fabio was on the show to some extent because he was put questions about how wonderful Moses was. Well, he's the incumbent heavyweight champ, but he was there and he was asked about this, and his attitude was, he's a stablemate. I don't see me fighting Moses anytime in my near future, and the only time I would fight him is if I've got 2 belts and he's got 2 belts. How do you square that circle if that's the situation?
Liam Goff strongly supports the growing hype around Moses Itauma, describing him as the potential heir to Usyk's throne. He argues that while critics say it's hype, most of it is actually justified due to Itauma's early development and elite sparring experience from a young age. His point highlights how rare Itauma's rise has been, suggesting that his background and skill set already separate him from typical young heavyweight prospects.
He's the heir to Alexander Usyk's throne, he's this, that, and I'm here to say, yeah, I think he is all that. And it's not just me, I think the majority of people actually do think that. Moses Itauma gets a lot of hype, yes, but it's warranted. It's deserved. The
Wade Plemains further emphasizes Moses Itauma's freakish physical and technical blend, describing him as a hybrid fighter with heavyweight power and middleweight speed. He compares his movement and skill set to Alexander Usyk, but notes Itauma carries more raw power at a larger frame. This combination of size, agility, and technique makes him a rare modern heavyweight, with attributes that the division has not seen in a very long time.
To see that in a heavyweight is so special. And this is why I call Moses Itauma a hybrid. And I said this on the Ring Show, what Alexander Usyk is able to use to his advantage at heavyweight, no one else really has. He's a smaller heavyweight. In this era, we are in the era of the super heavyweight. All the heavyweights being like 250 plus at like 6'5". They're monsters. And oddly enough, Usyk uses it to his advantage. He uses it to expose the lack of footwork, fundamentals, technique, speed, and otherwise of the bigger, heavier, powerful guys. But Moses Itauma is that hybrid where he's 240 pounds, 6 foot plus, but he's just as fast. as an Alexander Usyk, maybe faster. Actually, no, not maybe, is faster. He possesses all the same skills of a cruiserweight Alexander Usyk, but moves like, some of these middleweights at heavyweight. We haven't seen a guy like him in a very long time, right? That size, that speed, that agility with that technique, that footwork. Again, the last guy it reminds you of is Alexander Usyk. But he's not even a true heavyweight. Itauma is, and it's...
Tim Bradley gives a more grounded and critical view, stressing that Moses Itauma is still not ready for Alexander Usyk at this stage. He acknowledges Itauma's athleticism and conditioning, but insists Usyk operates on another level of experience and endurance over 12 rounds. Bradley also doubts Usyk would even accept such a fight right now, framing it as too early for the young prospect despite all the hype surrounding him.
He ain't no motherfucking Usyk. Usyk, that motherfucker going in the water for 10 minutes, he work on his stamina so he can hop around the ring and do what he do for 12 rounds, right? And turn that shit up if he want to, anytime he want, so he different. But he ain't ready for no Usyk, but shit, I know Usyk ain't finna step up and be like, let me fight the young gun right now. Hell nah.
Tony Bellew gives a balanced but confident assessment of Moses Itauma, pointing out the only real concern he has is size and physical development. However, he quickly shifts the argument by referencing Alexander Usyk as proof that size is not always decisive at elite level. Bellew admits Itauma may not yet match Usyk technically, but still labels him the future of the heavyweight division. His tone reflects respect mixed with optimism, suggesting that while Itauma is still developing, his natural talent and potential already place him among the most exciting young prospects in boxing today.
He's unbelievable. The only thing that I worry about with Moses is the size. But ultimately, as we've seen now, size becomes irrelevant because look what Alexander Usyk's done. This guy's gone out and beaten everyone, including me. He's exceptional. So I don't think Moses is going to be as technically as good as Alexander Usyk, but he's the next in line. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think he's an outstanding talent. I think he's got a good...
Gareth A. Davies focuses on timing, legacy, and risk around a potential Usyk versus Itauma fight. He suggests Usyk, being near the end of his career, may avoid unnecessary risk against a young and dangerous prospect. At the same time, he leaves the door open, mentioning that a massive financial offer could still make the fight happen. His analysis highlights the business and legacy side of boxing, where decisions are not only about ability, but also age, risk management, and historical impact, making this matchup as much political as it is competitive inside the ring.
Usyk will want to fight Moses if he's 40 already. So maybe the clock is ticking. The clock is clicking. The clock is ticking for Moses to fight Usyk before he's 40. Maybe as well, he won't want to ruin his legacy. But maybe if Turki Al-Sheikh wants to see the fight, put up enough money, maybe he will fight him, and maybe the legacy will be ruined. But maybe, if he fights him before he's 40, is the risk.
Dave Coldwell praises Moses Itauma's mentality and confidence, describing him as a natural winner who believes he can beat anyone in the world, including Alexander Usyk. However, he tempers that confidence with realism, stating that the fight is likely too early for him. Coldwell acknowledges Usyk's dominance and experience, even suggesting he may not be at his absolute peak anymore, yet still ranks him as the #1 heavyweight. His view creates a clear contrast between potential and current reality, framing Itauma as a future star, but not yet ready for the ultimate test.
He's a fighter. He's a winner. He's got plenty of ambition, and he truly believes that he can go in there and beat any man in the world right now, and that includes Alexander Usyk. Do I personally think it's too soon? Yes, I do. Usyk's he's a different breed. He's a different fighter. Yes, he's getting older. Now,
Adam Smith provides a highly positive evaluation of Moses Itauma, describing him as an extraordinary talent who ticks all the boxes. He praises his southpaw stance, sharp movement, punching power, and overall ring intelligence, suggesting he is extremely difficult to break down. However, he also raises the key question surrounding Itauma's career, whether a potential fight with Alexander Usyk is too early or perfectly timed. His analysis captures the central debate in boxing right now: Itauma's undeniable potential versus the risk of rushing him into the deepest waters of elite heavyweight competition too soon.
who looks absolutely extraordinary, and for me he ticks all the boxes. I like his attitude, I like his style, southpaw, hard hitting, moves so well. He's going to be very, very difficult to sort of deter. So it's an interesting one because, yeah, is this too soon for Moses, or is this just the right fight at the right time?
Frank Warren shows strong belief in Moses Itauma's future, confidently stating he would be willing to put him in a fight with Alexander Usyk even right now. He emphasizes that big opportunities exist in America and openly expresses desire to make the Usyk fight immediately. His comments reflect promotional confidence and long-term vision, suggesting Itauma's talent is already at a level where top fights are realistic. However, his stance also highlights the ongoing debate in boxing, whether raw talent and confidence are enough to justify such a massive leap at this stage of Itauma's career.
Blame it on the back end, because he didn't. He said the kid is good. This did happen, and I saw this shot. I'm like, oh, you know, that spun him.
That's hurt him.
Yeah, that spun him. When you get one, and it's not legal, but so we're the ones that are making an issue about, you know, or bringing up the subject about being hit on the back of the head.
Johnny Nelson takes a more cautious and strategic approach, strongly advising against rushing Moses Itauma into a fight with Alexander Usyk. He argues that protecting a rising star is crucial, suggesting that sometimes a fighter must take smaller risks to achieve long-term dominance. Nelson frames Usyk as nearing the end of his career, while Itauma is still very young and developing. He believes the heavyweight division should not waste such a promising talent too early, stressing that Itauma represents the future and should be carefully guided rather than thrown into the deepest challenges immediately.
So they know before anybody else what they've got left in the tank, and some stay there because there's always another payday. And I hope the people, I just hope that whatever happens, that, as I say, they come out safe, and that's it. But if they're going to carry on, as long as they're fit and well mentally.
Moses Itauma challenges the narrative around Alexander Usyk by questioning whether Usyk would have been able to knock out Dillian Whyte in a minute, using it as a comparison to highlight how quickly narratives can change in boxing. He suggests people are quick to label him as just a young fighter who will be broken, but he pushes back on that idea. His tone reflects confidence and defiance, implying that fighters are often judged unfairly before they even reach their peak. Itauma positions himself as someone who can disrupt expectations and eventually prove doubters wrong.
26 rounds in his career. And so you needed a bit more of, all right, let's get later into the fight. Let's see what he does as he gets tired. Can he hold the same composure? Will he start to wither as the rounds go on? And honestly, if I'm grading his performance in this fight, I'm going to say A or A minus, solely because of very small things that I'm going to nitpick. But outside of that, this was a fantastic performance for Itauma. And I expected it. But
Frank Warren speaks with huge enthusiasm about a potential Moses Itauma versus Alexander Usyk showdown, claiming it would sell out Wembley multiple times and generate massive pay-per-view numbers. His comments highlight the commercial power and global interest such a fight would bring. He strongly believes the matchup is not only realistic, but also something that could be ordered in the near future. Warren's tone is promotional, but also confident, reinforcing Itauma's rising star status and suggesting that both financial demand and public interest could eventually force this fight into reality despite the risk involved.
When have we not had a good Magnificent Seven? They're always good quality nights. We had Dublin was the same, wasn't it? Great night. Germany, great night, great crowd and everything. That's our start to the year. Unfortunately, we lost 2 dates for injuries. But
Max Kellerman expresses strong interest in a potential clash between Moses Itauma and Alexander Usyk, calling it the most intriguing and dangerous fight available for the champion. He believes Itauma's potential makes him a real threat, even if he may or may not win. His focus is less on outcome and more on competitiveness and legacy impact. Kellerman's view frames the fight as something that boxing fans would demand regardless of risk, highlighting Itauma's rising reputation as a serious challenger capable of testing Usyk in ways few others currently can.